Influence of commute length, gender, and household size on commuting attitudes.
The COVID-19 pandemic forced millions of workers into virtual working environments. This transition was a drastic change from the traditional in-office settings and was very uncomfortable for many workers. For this reason, we decided to investigate who works well from home. We investigated three main variables. The first was the length of commute, which we hypothesized would be positively related to telecommuting attitudes. The rationale behind this was that longer commute times adds additional stress on people, so avoiding this entirely through telecommuting would yield more favorable attitudes altogether. The second variable was gender, in which we hypothesized women to prefer telecommuting more than men. Given that women tend to take on more household responsibilities than men, working from home would give them more opportunities to complete these tasks, leading to a larger preference for telecommuting. The last variable that we investigated was household size. We hypothesized that household size is negatively related with telecommuting attitudes, since more people in a house would make the working environment more susceptible to distractions, and thus telecommuting overall less favorable.
For our study procedure, we distributed a Qualtrics survey to over 30 participants. Each question was evaluated on a 5-point scale, with 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree. And we asked each participant about their attitudes towards telecommuting, their gender, the length of their commute, how many people are in their homes, which were the 3 variables we were measuring.
So for the demographic and recruitment methods, we recruited eligible participants that are currently working full-time in a variety of fields, including education, finance, healthcare, and the food industry. We asked them to fill out the survey and then forward it to their friends in similar situations. We strive to diversify the participant pool by reaching out to participants with diverse backgrounds, and a few important demographic variables that we included were the participant's age, race, ethnicity, and gender. So in our participants pool, on the left graph, we can see that the age range from 18 to 53 years old, and then the races were 60% Asian, 20% African American, and 20% white Caucasian. For the gender, there was a greater number of female participants than males. And to answer our main research question, we used a survey to examine the 3 different factors that could affect telecommuting attitudes. The first one was time spent commuting to work. The second was gender, and the third one was household size. And for each factor, we evaluated on a scale that indicated how applicable a given statement was to our participants' current conditions. And for each of these independent variables, we measured the alpha constant to see if our questions were good indicators of what we were measuring.
So we obtained different results when testing each of our hypotheses. So for the first hypothesis, which was regarding length of commute, our hypothesis was supported. And the longer an employee's commute, the more they prefer to stay home and work, which is exactly what we expected. Now, for the second hypothesis, women prefer telecommuting over men, we found that this was not supported. There was no statistically significant relationship between a person's gender and their attitude towards telecommuting. Now, for hypothesis 3, we actually found the reverse to be true. So we hypothesized that the more people in a household, the more that members of that household would prefer to go to work, to actually go to their physical locations. But we found the reverse to be true. The more household members that a person had, the more they prefer to stay at home and work. We originally thought that when there are more people in the household, there are more distractions and conflicts. But in reality, it looks like employees enjoy spending time at home with their families. So our results can be interpreted into recommendations for different groups of people looking to find whether telecommuting is right for them. So telecommuting is a good option for people who have long commutes to work and people with bigger families who enjoy spending time with their family members, maybe not as much for, say, single people living in an apartment alone. As for future research recommendations, we have 2. The first is that this study should be conducted with a truly random sample. In our case, our study participants were mainly our friends and their friends, so we sampled by convenience. It was not truly random. And our second recommendation is that different independent variables, rather than the ones we used here, gender, commute length, and number of household members, could be tested instead to see their impact upon telecommuting attitudes.
And here are our references. Thank you.